What's going on, folks? Colby, how we
What's
doing, man?
up? Doing all right. Doing all right. It's been a slightly relaxing weekend, I guess you could say.
Yeah, there you go. We had some FA Cup action for us and for two of our main rivals to matched up today, United and the Scousers,
Mm-hmm.
and Liverpool lost, which
They
you
sure
gotta
did.
love. You gotta love. Um,
Could have liked it either
uh,
way, but
yeah, either way it was gonna be good. Either way it was
either
gonna be
way,
good. Either United lose or Liverpool lose, and that's a good day either way.
right?
So I have a question for you.
All right. What is it?
Why don't they drink tea at Anfield? Why
I
don't they
feel like
drink tea at Anfield?
because all they serve is piss.
That's a good guess,
Mm.
but the correct answer is because all the cups are in Manchester.
Bah!
And with that,
welcome
welcome to the boys.
You are now tuned into the Snobby Boy Podcast.
Nope, can't do that again. Welcome to the Snobby Boy Podcast. My name's Colby. That's Joe. How's everybody doing this afternoon, evening, wherever the hell y'all are at? We have got quite a episode for you. As you can see, our third part is not here this evening. He is taking part in city festivities. Well, not city festivities, but Chicago festivities, being that it is St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day to you all out there. Cheers, if you got one.
I got some Monster instead, but it's
Cheers if you got one. But before we get too far, make sure, as always, you do this. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Let you know every time we're ready to do our thing, and it lets you know to be here. So, on that note, we're going to review a little bit of what's going to be talked about in this episode. Firstly, the the Newcastle match. We're also going to talk a little bit about Coventry moving on. Also, United beating Liverpool in a 7-goal crazy ass match. Another thing we're going to hit on to Ange Postecoglou. He came out with something about plastics and tourists, and I think that probably should be played or talked about a little bit. And then to cap it all off, we're going to talk about that new fourth shirt that City's releasing at the end of the month. So, without further ado, before we get into it too far, I also want to make sure that we have a little promo on our shirt ad. So there's that. As it stands right now, all of these shirts, minus the If You Hate Man United shirt, there's a 15% off. If you go on to the webpage, type in Snobby AF and the promo code, 50% off until the 31st. You're welcome. So, first things first. Newcastle. Oh, this will be the first time you don't hear us whine about the refs too much. I have to just point that out. Hooper, for once in his career with us, didn't decide to give us a shit sandwich, so that was nice.
shocker.
Total shocker.
That guy.
You know what? Between him, Taylor, all the rest of the fucking bald dudes, not calling out any bald dudes or anything, considering, but they all the bald dudes seem to hate us. So it's just like, but yeah, he didn't give us a whole hell of a lot of crap on this day, which is really nice. As per every week, we do our predicted lineup. So I'll go ahead and share that for you. We had Ortega at the back, Ake, Stones, Diaz, Walker, Rodri, Silva, Foden, Doku, Alvarez, and Holland up front. That was 8 of 11. That's pretty decent considering, most weeks were 10-11, 10-11. Pep is a little wily when he does his lineups. I mean, we really didn't see. Was it Stonesy didn't get to start?
Yep, he got a rest.
And
Ake got a rest, surprisingly. That's been the go-to back four, really, has been Walker, Diaz, Stones, Ake for big matches. And Pep, when it comes to cup ties like this, you never really know what he's going to do and what he's going to pull out of the hat. And
no,
he pulled a fast one on us on a couple of them. But 8 out of 10 ain't bad. We'll take that. Or 8 out of 11, excuse me.
Well, and you said it too. Like, it's when it comes to FA Cup matches, he throws some, like, you can typically tell when he's going to throw a B team out, or second team, whatever you want to call it. But on this one, we figured because going into international break, players are going to be getting some time to get some repetition going into their home teams. But also in the same, we kind of expected some of them to be taking a break. Some of them did, obviously. One of the ones that I want to talk about real quick before we go any further, Jack was back, effectively back, but on the bench. I kind of maybe thought we'd see a little bit of time out of him in this one just because, and we obviously didn't put that in the predicted, but I thought that we would because if you don't know, Southgate's kind of giving him the shaft right now, and we understand that he was just hurt, so maybe he's playing a little bit into that, but also, like, he's one of your best wingers. Why aren't you giving him more play, especially if you're going to be playing Phil Foden, whom he has a lot of rapport with up front? That creates goals for you. I don't know what you're thinking, Southgate, but I digress.
That's the general vibe with Southgate, though, is what are you thinking?
He makes the stupidest decisions. How is he still the national team coach for England? I don't get it.
He knows somebody.
He's definitely somebody. He's either got dirt or he's slobbing some knobs.
That part.
It's the only other way to put it. I mean, only other way to put it. So, Joe, Newcastle came out pretty physical against us.
Right off the bat, they were late coming in with some challenges. You could tell that they were trying to get under our skin a little bit, and they set their extremely defensive. They had a solid back five, and you could tell that their game plan was we're going to be a little physical right off the bat, and we're going to try to rattle them and get them off their game. Last very long. They were trying to clip us at every opportunity, but that's about the extent of their fight back against us on the day, because they looked really lifeless. They weren't super organized. We didn't really make them pay, but we offered next to nothing going forward. And they were 9 guys in the box the majority of the game, and we were just passing the ball from side to side, waiting for somebody to get sleepy and find that opening. So it was a really shit performance from Newcastle, if we're being honest. They didn't offer up anything outside of let's try to foul them a little bit from and see if we, and they got several. I think they had 3 yellow cards in the game, and several others that could have been even more. I thought they could have gotten at least a couple more yellows out of that game. So,
well, do you think that maybe Eddie Howe walked into this with, considering where they are with their lineup right now, with having Tonali out and having multiple injuries, do you think that he kind of walked into this kind of already gimping? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's just the way they played, and it's very typical, which we'll probably dip into a little bit further, where Scar tries to just disrupt everything. He's the only one doing it. He's the only one that's making questionable moves out there, and I believe he got served one. He probably should have got served 2. We'll get into that in a little bit. Doku.
Doku. For me, I thought he had all kinds of room to operate down that left-hand side early in the game. And he was very active. He was taking people on. He was making quicker decisions, which I really liked, because sometimes he holds it a second too long. Yep. And then that gives the defense time to kind of get closer to him before he can make the pass, and it just kind of slows the whole ball movement down a bit. But I thought he was very, very good the whole match early. But then early in the game, it felt like he stayed wide. He was using his speed and his quicks to get around their defenders. And then as the game played out, he started moving a little more centrally. What did you think of that?
Yep.
What did you think of the move for him to play a little more narrow?
Well, I believe I said it last week. If they were to move him a little bit more centrally and he could exploit the top of the box that way instead of trying to work his way down to the byline, I think you'd see a big shift in his game, and that's exactly what happened. As you saw the game progress, you saw him going and taking those wings to moving slightly over and over more centrally, and that was a lot due to the off-ball movement from who was on the other side of the way. Gavardiol, first of all. He had a really good game, and we'll touch on a little bit of him on this subject here in a little bit. But between Gavardiol, I believe Foden was over there with him at points in time. Even when Bernie kind of shifted his way over there, they helped create a lot of off movement so Doku could get in either centrally or wide, and that was something we needed. It did create a lot. Could it have amounted to more? Absolutely. Yeah. It turned out well. It turned out exactly as I thought, and I hope that we go forward trying to get him in more centrally. Now having seen him do this and him exploit the space the way that he was brought in to do. So.
Yep, and then what we've talked about on previous podcasts is our other left winger that we mentioned earlier that's coming back. That's the spaces he likes to operate in as well. So that's like a little preview of seeing Doku kind of doing a little bit of what Jack likes to do, which is drift more inside and play a little bit more centrally. So I think that's especially with Yoshko over Ake. Ake doesn't usually get wide like that when he's playing left back. He gets forward a little more. He's more of a, if I'm going to get forward and make a forward run, it's going to be towards the box, not down the wing. And Yoshko is great at providing that width, just like Kyle is on the other side, and letting, which creates the space for the winger to kind of drift more centrally and get their shot off there, move the ball along. So I like that wrinkle, especially when Yoshko's out there. I think that's a really good tactic for us going forward.
For sure.
So
Bernardo, he got 2.
He got 2. Both you could almost qualify as own goals at times. And that was a big talking point by the commentator too.
I want to make this point very fucking clear, because a lot of people gave him man of the match and all this shit and said how well he played, and he did, but he got it at the hands of deflections. These were not straight on goals. These were a lucky ricochet off of defenders that went in, and that's all it was. The vibe of this game kind of matched the way that Newcastle came out. Well, not really. I guess I could say, but as Newcastle progressed, you could see us kind of playing right along with them. We just took advantage of their fuck ups in this match, and that's really what this boils down to. Because those 2 goals were absolute luck. I'm not going to give Bernardo Silva any super credit in this one, because any of those goals could have came from any one of the front 4 or 5 players that were in the box, and it just so happened to be him. So
that's why you take shots, is to hopefully something like that happens. Sometimes good things happen and you get a deflection and you get credit for shooting, but the goal themselves, definitely lucky. But part of that was 100% on Newcastle, inviting the pressure onto themselves by playing and sitting so far back and not pressing City at all when we had the ball. They just kind of hey, you can have it at midfield, and we're just going to bring all of our folks back and just guard the box. That's all we're going to do. So it was wild to me, because they knocked us out of the Carabao Cup, and when we played them in the league, it was not like this. This is not how they decided to play.
Right.
And for whatever, it seemed like Eddie Howe in all of his post-match press conferences, it seemed like they were all defeated before the game even started. They were like going into this and just assumed that they were not going to win. Let's just go out there, get our 90 minutes of run in, and call it a day, because it didn't really seem like they had much confidence that they were going to win. And if the manager is setting that tone, it's going to trickle down into the players. You would never see Pep allow this kind of performance to happen from the players in a knockout competition. So it was really interesting. But like I said, Bernie, you get credit. You were shooting, which is great. The deflections were damn near carbon copies of them for both goals. But Newcastle, that's on you for packing the box and doing that. That bad shit happens when you just lay back and don't try to play footy, which is exactly what they did. Right. So, and the second goal, the keeper would have got it if it hadn't gone off of, I think it was Botman's head.
Botman, yeah.
Because the keeper was lunging, he was there, and then it hit Botman's head, and then went like right by his feet. And still,
Botman, we love you.
Yeah, exactly. So, so it is what it is, man. Like, but the 2-goal lead, and at that point, early, within 30 minutes or so of the match, that pretty much put it to bed, because then, and they still, even after going down in a knockout competition where it doesn't matter if you lose 6-0 or 2-0, they still continued playing the same exact way. They did not even try to get on the front foot at all. So it was like it turned into a training ground routine for City. I did like that Holland got a little bit more involved, dropping deeper and participating a little bit more in the build-out. His touchback still requires a little bit of work, but that'll come. He's, like I said, he's still young, and does so many other things for us. But I liked that he was at least dropping deeper and trying to help. What did you think about that?
I've got a lot of questions about my boy. Like, listen, everybody, we paid him. We paid him good money. Not the money everybody thought we were going to pay him, but regardless of the fact, we pay him good money weekly to make sure that he's able to get these hard goals into the back of the net. Well, since winter break, he's not really been doing it. We understand that there's been some behind-the-scenes stuff. Grandmother passed away. But I'm now starting weeks after. He had the one game where he scored. But he's not consistent clinical Holland, in my opinion. And I believe that there are some factors behind that, but there shouldn't be. I'm going to get into that a little bit later once we kind of get through the match, because, as I said, I have a lot of questions. Just it's
little tease,
a little unsettling.
For later.
Little unsettling, yeah.
Stick with us for that time, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So going forward, one of the things I want to say is we here at the Snobby Boys podcast have given Manu Akanji some shit, for lack of better terms, about his ball play, his on the ball play. The last couple of weeks, Homeboy has turned his game around in a big way. Not just on the ball, but defensively. He has been the piece that we have needed him to be all season, up through a couple of games, but now it's just like he's back. Like this is the one that we wanted. And I mean, we signed him for 15 million euros. So the amount of pressure we're putting on him should be minimal, but we understand how smart he is. We also understand his game and what he brings to our defense. So big shout out to Manu for stepping up this week, because he did an absolutely fantastic job. And that's not just the only one on defense that had a very good game. We'll talk a little bit more about Ortega Moreno here in a bit.
Yeah, that improvement in form for Manu has coincided with him playing his most natural position. Go figure.
Right.
He's been playing more center back, and then
Right.
he did fill in at right back for Kyle. But again, when he's playing along the back four, strictly as a back four member, not hopping into the midfield at times, he's so much more comfortable. He's a different player. He's dominant at times when he's in those positions because of his physicality, his strength, his speed, and his, like we said, like you mentioned, his smarts. He's very positionally aware of where he's supposed to be, and I love when he's back there and is being given the task of, you're a center back, you're a defender first. I just want you to focus on that, and when he does that, we see great results out of him, and I love seeing that Manuel Akanji.
Did you see? I don't know if you guys, everybody out there watching, did you see? I think City Plus did something with him in it, and Homeboy is like a human calculator. You could literally throw out any strand of numbers and any equation that you want, and Homeboy knows it. He is a straight Steve Urkel, and I love it.
So dope. So dope.
It's awesome. Listen, especially here in America, there's the frame of mind that if you're really good at sports, you're probably pretty dumb everywhere else. No.
Not the case. That's the common stereotype since we were young, for sure.
Right.
You're just a jock, you're a dummy.
Right.
Only know sports, that's it. That's not the case with that guy.
No.
And that's really not the case in general. So
no. Especially not with this squad. Not at all.
Precisely.
So Phil. Look what you done. Dude, listen. So you put in here, he had a couple of good moments. He had several great moments, not just a couple. He had several great moments. He showed in this game, in spite of maybe knowing what the outcome of it would be, why he's one of the best. And why he's the best player in England next to Jude Bellingham. Like his ability to turn on the ball is, bar none, probably the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know any other way to put that. Like, his ability to bring the ball in, turn it, and go. Like, I've been teaching my kid that since he was 5. Seeing Phil put it on the field, I'm like, bro, this can be you. That can be you, bro.
Study film. But yeah, it's like every game, because he's one of our most consistent and high level performers every game. But there's just every match, there's 2 or 3 moments where you just like drop your jaw and just shake your head, like, how the fuck did he do that? That is absolutely unreal. It is so fun to watch him, and we're super lucky to have him on our squad, and he ain't going anywhere. So we get to watch him for a very, very long time. And it's just, I cannot say enough how much I love watching him play. His first touch, his vision, it's a thing of beauty. And he's so much more
of a player than people make him up to be too. Like he's a very complete player. I mean, he can, between being an offensive threat to being able to get back and defend in cases needed. I just don't know what else you can ask out of a player, and he's everywhere. He and I kind of I'm starting to see glimpses of Bernie in him.
Oh yeah,
because of the way he rotates, because of the way that he's able to play box to box very well. Yeah, I just don't know how you can't see him as one of the best players in the league.
He's a nuisance when he's pressing, which is absolutely a joy to watch. You love seeing guys who are so offensive minded, but also will do the dirty work and press and recover balls quickly. So,
yeah. That was our homeboy George.
What up, man?
We'll be talking to him very soon. We'll let you guys know about that here near the end of the episode, because we do have more announcements to say. So, but One last thing before we hit our intermission. As kind of we were talking about before, Scar's a bitch. He's always kind of been like that towards us, especially now that we've had Holland. If you know, over the past 4 matches we've had against them since Holland's come on with us, he's been an absolute terror to him. And I really honestly think that Holland can body the fuck out of him. I think that he's kind of not giving his full shellac, if you will. So I think that I think he has been nothing but a pest. He probably should have been sent off the second time. That was
right at the end of the first half. There was a very late challenge that even the commentators are saying. Yeah, even the commentators were saying, and I hate this so much because referees do this shit all the time, where that if he wasn't already on a yellow, he would have gotten that yellow card. That would have been a yellow card if he wasn't already on one. I can't stand that logic. That shit is so annoying. No, it doesn't matter if he was already on a yellow card. A yellow is a yellow.
What?
So exactly.
What?
A yellow is a yellow. It doesn't matter if he was already on one or not. It's a yellow card. He was way late and clipped the guy who was moving into a dangerous offensive position. That's a yellow. So he should have been off, and it would have been even more of a training ground routine for us in the second half. So Scar,
whatever, however you say his fucking name, douche canoe.
That's the one right there.
That's the one. All right, guys, we're going to take our 30-second intermission. We're going to come back. We're going to wrap up the second half and then get into a little bit of juice with you guys. So stick around, and we'll be right back. All right. Second half.
And we're back.
Second half. So, Joe, go ahead and start the second half for us.
Can sum up the entirety of the second half with one word. 2 words. City possession.
Yep.
That was about the extent of the second half. There was not a whole lot happening. Not a whole lot of chances. No memorable moments, really. It was Newcastle sitting deep, not really trying to play, and just taking their beating and letting us pass the ball around as easily as we wanted to. There was no pressure. It was the only positive thing that I will say about Newcastle in this game was their traveling support was excellent, unlike their squad on the pitch.
Yeah.
There's traveling supporters. Kudos to them because they were loud and singing the entire game, even though their club, their players, were not giving them anything to actually cheer about. So hopefully they had some drinks in them and were, enjoying their time. But it was really a pathetic performance from Newcastle, a club who was in the Champions League this year, finished top 4 last year. Injuries or not, it was lifeless. They just did not seem to even want to be there. And you expect better from a Premier League club who spent the amount of money that they have to build their squad. And
one of their pieces is out for like 80-something games, so
yeah.
Smart job.
There wasn't a whole lot else, unfortunately. No. It was a pretty boring rest of the match. So
yeah,
it happened. Literally,
I want to elaborate a little bit on that boring part. I know I haven't been in this very long, but that brought me back to the days where I didn't like watching because it was literally the fucking boringest game I've seen in the last 4 years. I honestly, converse to what you just said, because they played so bad in the second half, how we did not capitalize on that on so many different occasions. What the fuck? When are we going to put the fucking hammer down? When are we going to put the gas all the way to the floor? It's time. We're due. Do it.
And exactly, because we almost played down to the level of our competition.
Yeah.
And we didn't bring a whole lot of energy on the reverse side of that because they clearly were not trying to play. In those situations, they're saying, hey, this is what we're doing. Y'all go ahead and win. It's fine. But we didn't put our foot on their throat and really put them away. It could have taken one handball in the box. Even though Newcastle didn't really get too many forays into our box, it could have taken one minor thing like that to make it a 2-1 game, and then the whole fucking thing is different. So 100% agree with you. We cannot get into that lazy mode of we're just going to pass the ball around and just kill time. It needs to be better going forward, and we need to put 3 or 4 past these teams who are just going to sit back. And it's difficult. I get it when teams are playing such a low block against us. But to your point, we'll start talking about Holland again. That's a big reason why we brought him in, was to beat teams who are going to play us like that, because he offered something we didn't have before for a very long time, which was somebody with size. Shout out Ed Dzeko, birthday boy. We haven't had a big striker like that who's, can use his head and dominate physically since he was with us, really. So that's kind of, in these kind of games, that's why you hope that Holland's more of a difference maker with, crosses into the box or set pieces. And it didn't materialize for us yesterday.
No, it didn't. And so this is where I want to take this. What's his deal? What's Holland's deal? Is he missing Jack? Is it because there's no Kev? Because he left goals on the table. We brought him in for a reason, and it was to make these type of goals, and he's not making them. I'm very lenient with some of the players, especially the ones that I really like. So if I'm getting hard on you, that's saying something. There's what? Okay, so here's the bigger questions. What happens when Kev's done? What if Jack wants out? Who's he going to depend on?
The answer there would be Phil, and he's been playing with Phil, but they haven't they haven't found that rhythm that Erling has with Kev and clearly Jack. So that's going to have to get figured out for sure. I think a big part of it is the guys that we have been playing, the Dokus, the Silvas, the Alvarezes, the Fodens. They're all more, aside from Bernie, they're all more goal scorers. They're not guys who are looking to move the ball around and find the passing lanes for Erling Haaland. They're looking to get the ball on frame. So I think with the guys that we have on the pitch right now, they're more, I'm trying to score goals, especially Phil, because the guys who are playing centrally with him are Phil and Jules. Those guys are goal scorers. Phil has great passing ability, but we don't have somebody like a David Silva. He was brilliant pre-Kev with finding passes that nobody else could see.
Right.
From David, we went to Kevin, who, again, next level above everybody else's vision, and is able to find passes and execute said pass. Not just see it, but also be able to put the ball where he wants it. And I think the problem with the lack of goal scoring, aside from that 5-goal spurt that he had, but again, that was with Kev, is the guys that we have out there are one, Doku, who's learning to play with him still, because they missed 2-3 months of game action together, and they're
still learning the system.
Yeah,
Doku's still learning the system.
So I think the problem there is we have a lot of guys who are looking to score instead of looking to find the space for others at times. You know what I mean? So I think that's the tricky part. So when Kev is done, if Jack decides he wants to go, or he's, whatever might happen there, we need to find more guys who are going to be looking to possess and play balls to him instead of dribble, and then like make runs off of him. And if and what would work here is if Erling was a little bit better in his hold up play. He's great at turning and dribbling with it when using his speed. But what we don't see very often is him with his back to goal, holding the ball up and seeing guys making runs past him where he can lay the ball off. That's really not his game yet. He doesn't have the weight of touch to put the ball into spaces for others. So that would be the next step growth for me for Erling would be let's develop a little bit more of a back to the basket game where we then have our guys who are making runs off of him and he's playing people off and making little 1-2s there. We haven't really seen that from him yet. So going forward, he needs to develop that part of his game.
And dude, like you're 6'4", you're a small forward in the NBA. Like use your body.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a typical striker where he's able to sway defenders off. You know what I'm saying? He's a big body. He's a little bit slower. His agility is not quite what it maybe can be, but I don't think it's going to get much better, to be honest. I mean, he's made little improvements this season. There may be some improvements here and there, but when you're that type of body, that's a lot of momentum to try to shift the defender off of you so you can make a run on whatever side you may need. So I don't know, man. The play into the box, people, I totally understand that other guys like Phil, Doku, Alvarez, whatever, they want the ball in the goal. They want to get it from themselves. But Pep, Tishi, the crew brought Holland in for situations like this to be able to body people off. He's not doing it. He needs to do it. I don't know who needs to get it up in his head or what needs to transpire for him to be able to make these things happen, but you got to get on it because we're officially in the business end of the season, and we need top performers at this point.
Now is the time to start hitting our stride for sure. So coming out of this next international break that's upon us for the next 2 weeks, definitely need to get everybody on the same page and start hitting our stride because we have some very big matches coming up right out of the break with Arsenal first game up and then Villa the following 4 days later. So and then Champions League quarterfinals against the team that we know that we'll talk about in a little bit coming up shortly right after that. So we got plenty of big games coming. So we got to get everybody cooking on the same page. So I think they'll figure it out. It is something I think to monitor. I do think they will sort it out going forward and we'll see the best of him again. It's just sometimes you get a little bit of a slump and it's wild to say that when he's still like the Premier League leader in goals. It's just, exactly. But
it's too hard. Are we being too hard on our players at this point? Like, is there a point where we should be like, maybe I shouldn't say anything just quite yet? Or like, or is this okay? Because like, yes, top goal scorer of the Premier League. That's cool. He could be a lot more if just say.
He set the bar very high for himself. So
you came out and you scored 53 goals over all competitions in your first season in the Premier League, bro. Like that's a high fucking bar. High bar that you set yourself.
Yeah.
So a couple things I want to address is our midfield. First thing that I want to point out is we already know, all of us know this, Rodri's importance in our matches. Between having Nunez, let's kind of push everybody out because this really is going to end up narrowing down to these two players, Kovacic and Nunez. We know what to expect out of Julian. We know what to expect out of Phil. We know what to expect out of Bernardo. But when those other two get put on, Nunez is a little bit different because he's been able to play a little bit more forward, where Kovacic has mostly been holding. As you saw with our predicted lineup, he ended up getting in over who do we have?
Jules.
Jules. Yeah. And obviously playing, like I just said, more defensively, more holding. And what did he really bring to the game for us?
Going forward, not much, but he did allow us to maintain possession a lot more than we probably would have without him. But at the same time, Newcastle really wasn't pressing
Worried
very
about
much. So I don't think
No, they weren't
let's
doing that either.
let I think our possession numbers would have been very similar whether it was Jules out there or Kova out there. I do think that
Fair.
I do think Kova has a good understanding of how to play with Rodri. I think those two are starting to develop a really good partnership together. And Kova obviously has played in the big, on the biggest stage with the biggest club, so he's not ever going to be afraid of a moment or understand. He understands how to play in those big games and big moments, so he gets it.
Sure.
He's a smart guy. He knows how to. He obviously knows how Pep wants to play. So I like that. I do like that partnership. But when say we make it to semis, championship, Champions League final, whatever, I still think it's Rodri and Stones in that pivot together is our best best line. So. I think Kova has been a really good signing for us. I think he's a good rotational player who's going to when you put it, he's a vet. When you put him in there, you know what you're going to get, and he's probably not going to make any glaring mistakes. He might not be a match winner, but he's not going to lose a game for you either.
No. I just want to say this. Laugh if you want to. Mateo Kovacic is the not angry version of Roy Kent.
I like it. The not angry version.
Well, no, it's more on the fact that he's kind of a granddad now.
Yeah,
in the league, if you want to say so.
Absolutely. I like that comparison. Hey, that's good. I love that you said that because guess what? I'm going to go find either later tonight or early tomorrow morning when I'm creating content. I got to find some Roy Kent stuff and Kovacic stuff going on. So I'm going to try to blend that somewhere, and we're going to have some good content out of that.
Hey, listen, don't say that. The Kickbacks boys might take it. I'm just saying.
They're quick with it too.
No, I'm totally fucking around. Even if they did, I wouldn't care because it's fucking hilarious. But no,
exactly.
Between us and them, I feel like we got the best content out right now for City people. As far as what's going on the webs, just saying.
The humor, the quality of the creation from them and us, I think, is going very well. So keep sharing, keep liking our stuff. We appreciate it. Bam.
All right. So again, the midfield. There's a lot of questions going forward with our midfield because there's been a lot of talk about Lucas Paqueta. There's also been some talk about Florian Wirtz. There's also been talk about Jerome Musiala. Then there's also Jamal Musiala. Then there's also Savinho that is supposed to be coming in. So, can we expect a lot more youthful play going forward, coming in the next season, maybe 2, depending on how everything works out? Because I kind of feel like we need it. I feel like there needs to be a little bit of reassessment of the midfield a little bit. I think us not having Gundo is starting to show now for sure. In specific matches, i.e., me talking about Kovacic. He's kind of missed in this one because I think that maybe if Gundo is in there, a little bit more creativity could have been there, and then we could have exploited the space a little bit and created the goals that were meant to probably happen.
You said the correct word with creativity because we talked a lot about Haaland, and Gundo and Haaland had a very good understanding of how each other like to play. And Gundo can play that deeper lying role, but when he does that, he doesn't just stay back there. When he sees the opportunity to make an overlapping run or play a little 1-2 with Holland, it was very, very effective. And he would make those deep runs into the box, late arriving ones to finish off a chance. That's something that Kova doesn't really do. He still hangs by the top of the box. And Gundo was definitely somebody who had an eye for goal, but could also play not to the level of Kevin because nobody is that fucking good. But Gundo could still play a really good ball, and he has very good vision. So that's definitely something I think that plays into maybe Erling's not, sterling finishing ability at the moment is that piece, because you don't have Jack. Those are three guys that he had a really good understanding with that aren't there right now and aren't there consistently.
Certainly, exactly.
And I think that's something that Holland really, when we get the best out of him, it's when we're playing with a consistent lineup that he can be comfortable with. Obviously, with most sports that are out there, when you have a consistent starting lineup that understands how each other like to play, that's a good thing. But I think with Holland especially, he needs that consistency and guys who understand him and how he likes to play. So I think that tying all that up together, I think that's another factor that's playing into what we talked about earlier with him.
For sure.
I'm very curious to see where our midfield goes next year, because the biggest domino that's going to fall first to see what we do is Bernie. Exactly. Does he stay? Does he go? This has been a yearly routine for like 3 years, 3 summers now.
Dude.
So
and what a roller coaster ride it is too.
Yes, because he's so important to us, and all of us love him so damn much. And Pep, obviously, because he gushes about him at every opportunity. But it's like, does he go? Does he stay? And if he goes, then that's going to obviously reshape the midfield quite a bit. And then shortly thereafter, Kevin can't play forever. Clearly, Phil part of the plan to play centrally going forward, but that leaves other holes to fill. So,
who's the next Kev? Who's the next Kev? Is it Florian Wirtz? Is it Jamal Musiala?
I like both of those guys a whole lot.
Dude, I love Musiala so much. Oh my god! So everybody's been going on about Florian Wirtz, which I can get behind because he's done a really good job at Leverkusen this year. Totally give him the credit. But if you watch Jamal Musiala in the box and the way that he moves the ball in short spaces, bro, we need that. We need that. Not only that, but his play inside from outside the box. Like he knows how to put the ball in. He knows how to get the ball in on his own. But then he can find people within the box to get it too. And again, this a lot of the way you see Bayern play too is the way I've been screaming about playing. You got to crash the fucking box, and that's what they do. And that's why Musiala. That's why I'm trying to think of some of the other midfielders. Kimmich. They have such good play and so many goals for their positions is because of the way that they crash the box. Just throw that out there.
Wirtz seems like this is what always happens in the Bundesliga. There's a young, talented player on a mid to upper tier German team, and what always happens with those guys? They do really well. They have a great season, and then Bayern swoops in and takes them to Munich. So to me, the Wirtz, I love him. He's great too, but it just feels like to me, Xabi's probably going to leave. Alonso's going to leave to go to Madrid.
I think that's already been basically slated.
So he's leaving, which means it's open season on all of Leverkusen's high-level talent, and they will likely leave too. So I think this summer, and I don't think Wirtz would come to us this summer. I don't think we're ready for him yet because we have so many pieces there still. So to me, it's Wirtz is probably going to get poached to Bayern this summer very quickly. So
right. Well, I mean, also with Musiala, we got to hope that he's like looking up where like, hey, I want to come over there, guys. Like, because the same thing could possibly happen where he goes to like a La Liga team instead. Like, of course, I don't think you'll see that with Real so much. I think you'll definitely see it with Barcelona because they don't have. It's kind of a hodgepodge as far as their midfield goes. You got some young ones, you got some old ones.
There's not a lot in between that they need to fill that gap. So
no. Last thing with this match, I think we're going to say this regardless. Motherfucking Ortega Moreno had the fucking best goddamn game any of us could have asked for. Any of us. When we saw Eddie go out, I'm going to guarantee everybody that's sitting in here right now, all 10 of you, plus the people in the comments, whatever, and people watching beyond this, you probably went, oh shit. And guess what? Your oh shit went in the shitter, okay? Because he did the best job anybody could have done on that day, and you can't say otherwise. Literally,
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure people understand how difficult a job the second choice keeper at a big club like this has. Yes. They have to be ready at all times. They have to accept the fact that they're probably going to get all the domestic cups and maybe a game or two in the league, and that's about it. So to stay mentally ready and taking those mental reps every game and in practice and getting your work in to be ready for a big moment like this, I can't say enough good things about Ortega. When he was called upon, the few chances that they actually created, he was up for them. His distribution was great. His positioning was great. He played long balls when it was needed to. He played to feet when he needed to. So I feel very comfortable going forward. I love Ortega. I have Ederson on the back of this shirt. That's my fucking guy. So I think some of the City community need to pump the brakes a smidge on when Eddie comes back. We have a first choice keeper already, and Eddie's going to be the backup. Calm down.
Chill.
I know we're hyped and we're happy, which is fine, but just calm it down. Eddie is still the number one keeper at Man City, regardless of how well Ortega plays. He's world class, and he's going to come back in when he's fully fit. But so thankful to have a keeper like him, because in years past we have not had this reliable of keepers. We had Joe and Claudio Bravo for a bit. Claudio was not great when he was starting. He was better when he was the backup in the cup matches. He had a couple of really amazing PK stops for us in those games, but he was not it. We went through so many backup keepers that weren't terrific. So having two now that can, because Ortega would probably start on at least half of the Premier League teams, if not more. Some scrolling social, you get the hot takes, and people were saying he would start on every other Premier League team's roster. We have the two best keepers I'm like, let's calm down.
Right.
He's not better than he's great. He would probably start on most of the lower to mid-table teams.
Yeah, but anybody under the top six, he'll definitely start. But
but again, super proud of him. Really happy that we have him, because it's when your number one keeper goes down like that, if you don't have a quality backup, it can tank your season, because the keeper is such an important position.
Yeah, big fan.
And we're in safe hands.
Safe, absolutely. So to cap off the match, as we do, we haven't been posting it on Instagram or on X or on Facebook. We've been leaving it here for you guys. So our man of the match for the Newcastle, definitely the star boy, Phil Foden. In spite of Bernie's goals, he created a lot of what happened. He was constantly in the game, and he was as relentless as he possibly could be. So got to give him that.
Very influential, most influential player on the pitch, even though Bernie was credited with the 2 goals.
Credited, remember.
Credited was said on purpose. I used that word on purpose. I'm glad you caught that. That was absolutely said on purpose. Credited with the 2.
Alrighty then.
All right, so we're getting down into the fun of the match, or excuse me, the episode. Oh, St. Patty's Day is doing me good already. Um, um, so a couple of things we want to talk on before we kind of want to get into the comments. By the way, guys, comment. There's 13 of you in here that I can see, that he can see. Say some shit.
Stir it up.
That's what I'm saying. So before we get into that,
There it goes.
let's first things first. For the news and notes from this week, Kyle Walker getting this flurry of hate. What the fuck is this all about?
Unreal. As soon as the post game happened and he was commenting about Saudi Arabia and the league over there, it was an avalanche of just shit on Kyle Walker Day. And I don't understand that. He didn't say anything crazy. He said, maybe one day I'll go there. But what he really said, if you listen to the whole thing and weren't just clickbaiting,
Right.
he said what he really wants to do is finish up at Sheffield where he started and help them out.
He said that before, though. He said that before. This
Exactly.
Is not new news. This is not new news.
So,
like, what the fuck?
And all he said was what all these other players have said, which is the amount of money that they're paying people. You have to like legitimately stop for a second and think about it. Even if you don't go, any rational person, when you're given that much money, you're like, let's think about this for a second.
What?
And I might not go. I might not decide to, but I need to at least think about the amount of money that is being shoved my way. And there's nothing wrong with that. So let's not kill the guy for a little soundbite that you got after a match.
Dude, okay, so as people who create short form, it's part of the game. We get it. Some of y'all take short form to a fucking level that it doesn't need to be in. If you see a short form video and you need context, you know what you can do? YouTube.com, type in said subject matter and figure it the fuck out. That goes beyond football, y'all. Way beyond football. Because there is so much bullshit in the media anywhere you look where they take this much and make it this big. When really it was a whole other different way. So, yeah, as we said, everybody knew that was Kyle has come out said multiple times before that he has desired to finish at Sheffield because that's where he started. And that's commendable. And I will totally be behind that because, I mean, you got to pay dues or give credit or pay some kind of respect to the people who brought you into this world in some way, shape, or form.
Calm down.
It's just how it's the nature of the business. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's entertainment. It doesn't matter if it's sports. You have to show respect to the people that paved the way for you. And for him, it was Sheffield.
It's been like with Kyle. Kyle's one of my favorite players on City. It's been a lot.
Boy.
Exactly. And there's just been it seems like this season has been like shit on Kyle, whether he's because of his captaincy, because one moment 100% he can catch some flack for because of what he decided to do in his personal life. However,
business at the end of the day, by the way.
Exactly. That's between him and his family. That's
the fact that y'all are in on it, like you probably shouldn't be because
none of our business, folks.
None of our fucking business.
So playing on the field, you would think after some of these matches he was utter shit, and he has not been. And I know I've said it before on X and social. The players chose him as the club captain.
Right.
They know better than us, the fans, what is good for the club, not us. So if they chose him for captain, I'm okay with it, and I will support that shit from the jump because they picked him.
Facts.
I trust those players in that room more than all of y'all on X. I'm sorry.
They did. The people in the locker room made that choice. They know what they were doing. It's all right. It's okay.
Lay off Kyle Walker, please.
I know what to do that.
That's our new toy right there, by the way.
So next order of business, Champions League draw happened.
It sure did. Friday morning.
We put up a little graphic for that. If you guys didn't see, pop it up here for you.
It got a little traction too. That's a fancy looking
Yes,
thing.
it did. Yes, it did. Obviously, we'll be updating that as the competition goes on. But let's bring it back up one more time. We got
yeah, we sure did. You would have thought that they wanted this to not be a quarterfinal matchup, maybe a semi or a final, but
like
kicking it off early.
And then they have us. They have us on the breakdown against Arsenal.
The narrative is that City gets easy draws every year in the Champions League. If you noticed, our side is not fucking easy.
What we're talking back.
You never want to play a team in your fucking
league.
You never want that. And the other option is Bayern, who is
Time out. Harry Kane.
No City will
be a factor for this match, probably. So, what do we do here if we end up playing Bayern and not Arsenal? Like, he's really. I mean, he's their top goal scorer. He's top goal scorer of the league, I believe. If they don't have him against us, if they don't have him against Arsenal,
gonna be a tough one.
I don't see Arsenal not walking out of this with the win and playing us. I feel like this was kind of a already in the picture, drawn up inside the stars and shit, whatever you want to fucking say. Like,
I will say that Arsenal are notorious bottle jobbers, especially in this competition. Even though they should, on paper, beat a Bayern team who's not been great in their domestic competition and not super great in the Champions League, Arsenal should win. But when that pressure gets put on that club, we've seen what happens in the past. So that one, I think is very fascinating, and I think it would be awesome maybe during the international break when we have a little lull in the City talk. Maybe we do a little bit of a segment on each of the matchups in the Champions League and what we think is going to happen. I think that'd be fun to dive into those a little bit more. But Real Madrid right off the bat with us in the quarters, man, that's going to be a fucking barn burner. And everybody's saying already that the winner of this particular matchup is probably going to go through
and win the Champions League,
and win the whole thing. Which those are the two best teams, I think, in the competition, and they're just happen to be playing in the corners instead of later on. So we'll see. But we should not be scared of them. We slaughtered and conquered that demon and dragon, whatever you want to say, last year. Teams need to be feared of us, not the other way around.
I'll take that, but devil's advocate, they're coming back for revenge. You do realize that, right?
Facts.
And here's what helps us. If you don't already know how the format's working out, we've got them second leg at home. So if we can go to the Bernabeu and turn the aggregate all over their fucking face, walk back into the fortress, and take it to the next round. I mean, I think we could probably already slate the next round we're having Arsenal. I just don't know if Bayern will be able to hold it together at the Emirates without Harry Kane for that to happen. That's just my hot take for right now. That may change.
That's why you play the game.
That's why you play the game.
Let's fucking find out, man.
So on our second road to Wembley, because we've got to this year, we drew Chelsea for the FA Cup.
Surprise.
Surprise. Well, the one that I really want to talk about is Coventry moving forward over Wolves.
The Darlings, the Cinder. This is March. This is March in the U.S. That's March Madness time. That's college basketball
Right?
Cinderellas, and we absolutely have one in Coventry right now because into the semifinals. Coventry
How-
haven't been this far in the competition since the year you and I were
19
born.
Yeah, 1987, dude.
And then last
1987.
time they won the whole thing in that year too. So in the way that they won with 2 stoppage time goals to tie and then take the lead and win the match,
Yeah.
that shit was crazy.
Bruh.
Exactly.
What?
So
I like butt ends.
it'd be something if they pulled another upset and took out the Rags.
Listen, if that happens, it's going to be a glorious fucking day. And I'm not listen, I'm not saying that we're already in the final, but the way it looks, we might be in final with the Rags. But if Coventry City can come back and make this a game and take it from them, and then we play them at Wembley, I might be a giddy little schoolgirl. There might be little notations of like Ted Lasso storylines in this, but like,
Yes. Yes.
But honestly, on the whole, I think this is going to end up being another Manchester derby in the FA Cup. I'm excited as shit for it. One of the podcasts that we follow, and I'm sure you guys know them, is the Manchester Derby 2.0. The husband and wife who are United fans, him, City fans, her. They've got a good little thing going on now with this for the FA Cup match. If you haven't listened to them or you haven't taken the time to see some of their content, please go check them out. Manchester Derby 2.0. They're honestly, if my significant other liked the other team, it probably wouldn't be as fun because I would just feel like I fucking hate you. Get out of my face.
Yeah, props to them for being able to manage that within their household because I don't know if I'd be. I don't think I'd be mature enough to handle that.
No. When it comes to sports, I can be extremely immature.
Yes.
Extremely.
Yes. So salute to them for holding it together like that. Good for y'all. And we see you, FA. We like y'all ain't slick. You knew what you were doing. Like this is a random draw.
Seriously.
You set this up.
You saw the one guy that it was the late ball pull. He like made an extra couple rounds. Like, are you fucking get out of here?
Bitch, we know what you're doing.
We knew exactly what you're doing. I'm pretty sure that it probably had some different like texture or something to it, so you knew which one it was. Fuckers.
Oh yeah.
Fuckers.
You're not slick.
No, not at all.
We all see you. Y'all are transparent as fuck.
Yeah. Well, and that's really just sports on the whole. Like, ever since legalized betting has come into play, the scripting has become a lot more noticeable. Kyle, and I'm not trying to throw his business out there, but Kyle likes to do fantasy or whatever teams and shit like that. Not saying he's great at it. He probably breaks even. I don't really know. I don't really care because it's not my thing. I had a grandfather who was super into betting. He bought horses. We were always like, anytime we'd go down there for vacation, he lived in Boca Raton, Florida. Mm-hmm. He would take us down to like Calder and different racetracks and stuff like that. And this, even before dog racing was illegal, he would take us to the dog track and shit. So from a youth, I just stay away from me because I don't mean to sound like a dick, but there's probably millions that went down the fucking drain that could have been my inheritance. Yeah.
Like it is.
So no. So the 2 horses that he ended up buying, funny as shit. Their names were hilarious, by the way. The first one was White Russian, right? The second one's even better. If you don't know me, don't be judgmental when I tell you that I like the cannabis. Which I find funny considering what my grandfather named said horse. It was Search for Green.
You can't write this shit. You cannot.
So my disdain for sports betting is a little skewed, but nonetheless, I really feel like with all the betting companies that have gotten involved in sports, it's kind of turned the tables and it's becoming, like I said, more noticeable. But I digress on that subject. One of the things that especially Joe and I and most of us over here who are doing the American portion of podcasting for this club, we hear a lot of flack all the time. Maybe not a particular duo who I won't say, but we get a lot of flack for being Americans who podcast about European English football. This week, after the Tottenham, who was it? Fulham? They play Fulham?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Fulham game. Ange Postecoglou, he made a little statement, which we'll play here for you in a second. And we stand pretty firm behind this because to call us, well, you know what? I'm not even go on my rant. I'm just going to play what he said if you guys didn't see. So here you go.
That's really harsh, yeah. Because I'll tell you why. Because I'm probably plastic and touristy. Because I was coming from the other side of the world, really passionate about football, and if I could get access to see a Premier League game, that was the world to me. So to label people plastic or tourists, I don't think that's fair. Just because people live on the other side of the world, they always get access to the games of people who live here, and I think we should always have the ability to accommodate them and give them that feeling of, it doesn't make them any less passionate. I think it's really disrespectful to call fans who are willing to go to the expense of coming halfway around the world. You don't know how passionate they are about their football club.
I'm just saying.
Spot on for me. I couldn't agree with him more.
We'll probably get canceled because Sky Sports shit was up in the corner. I tried to fix that, but whatever.
It was short. It
was short, but whatever. It doesn't matter. The point of the matter is this is the message that is constantly being spout out, and it's in multiple groups. It's not just it's not regular football groups. Like these are like city specific groups where people say this shit, and it's just like, and I'm in there, and I don't really comment a lot in certain groups. Like the governors group, I have big respect for the governors group just because I know the history behind the governors group. So I don't like to say a lot because I understand the perspective to an extent. But all in the same, what Ange put out here is exactly what all of us feel. We don't have necessarily the means to spend $1,400 to just fly over to your country. Not only that, but then have to go through customs and deal with bullshit because there's a lot of us who don't know anybody over there. And that's usually one of the first questions they ask you. Do you know anybody here? And if you say you don't, they might reject your ass. So then you just spent $1,400 for what? Right? Not only that, we spend money on the merchandise. Us, podcasts, city podcasts. We've put so much time and energy and effort and money into what we do. And we don't ask for anything from anybody. We ask for a share. That's probably it. We never ask anything of you guys again. We do this because we love this club. We see a reflection of ourselves in this club, and that's why we chose this club. And it could be for a variation of reasons. Doesn't have to be that that honed in a specific. But Joe has a story. I've got a story. Joe McCune's got a story. Shades of Blue, all those boys, they've got a story. Hollywood Kipax, they've all got a story. So to call us plastics and just write us off like that, ignorant as fuck.
They don't
incredibly ignorant.
Those folks across the pond, y'all don't have a monopoly over loving your club.
No,
it's our club, everybody's club. It's not just y'all's club, and you don't have a monopoly on the love. And the pretentiousness that people have to say, looking at you, Trent Alexander-Arnold, because this ain't kind of shit for you, my friend. You don't know how much the club means to me.
Right.
So you can't sit here and say, because I've never been to the Etihad, I've never been to England, even that I can't love City like you love City.
Right.
You don't know me. You don't know my life story. You don't know how I became a fan of this club. If you haven't,
Keyboard Warriors.
check our website. We got our stories up there for us.
We do.
Shameless plug. But again,
nice one.
You don't have a monopoly over this club. We all love it, and it needs to be more of a community.
It does.
We've talked about this on our socials, on our show. We're 100% wanting to help grow this City community with
in the U.S.
in the U.S. in the same light. We all love City. That's what matters. We want to grow that piece together, and you shouldn't be shitting on people just because they've never been to the Etihad or they're from a different country or whatever. And Ange, Tottenham, y'all fucking fans better appreciate the guy that you got.
Seriously.
There's been a lot of talk about them like canning him, getting rid of him. That's not the move.
I also want to take this small opportunity for those watching. If you saw last week, I called somebody that I already named a dickhead. I had every right to say it because it's happened quite a few times. But I also want everybody to understand that if it wasn't for the noisy neighbors, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be talking to you guys. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. If anything, it's pushed me even more to want this. But ultimately, I have extreme amount of respect for them. They have paved the way for all of us here in the U.S. To do this. I'm not going to say anything more than that, other than, apologies if you felt any type of slight. It was all in good fun, I promise. But all in the same, if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for the people that we have around us, we wouldn't be doing this. That's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say about that.
Well said.
So moving on. If you didn't see, Manchester City released a small statement. You might have to scroll through your IG or Facebook or whatever to find it. But they are releasing a fourth kit for this season to wear. It will go on sale at the end of the month. From what has been said, this is the overall design. And when I say this, try to keep the 1920 black kit that was, if you guys don't remember what it looks like, this type of thing going on. Hold on, let me flip the background here. Like this, right? Keep that in mind. So from what they said, hold on, I got to change this all now. Jeez. So from what they said, the shirt is going to be black as the main color, and then from what I'm understanding by this, it says shirt has a black main color combined with multicolored graphics for a unique look. I'm thinking they're going to do something with the badge where it's going to be multicolored and have some kind of pop out design, so it gives it some depth or something like that. But this is going to be cool as shit because not only is this like the first time that we've ever worn a fourth kit, which will be transpiring in the next season. If you don't know, if you've not been catching up on things, they have already expressed that the third kit will be a nod to Noel and Liam Gallagher, Oasis. I think that's fucking awesome. But back to this one. What, in your mind, Joe, what do you expect out of this from what we know?
My favorite City kit is the one that you kind of just flashed up, the all blacks with the yellow and salmon and teal. Like that kit is my absolute favorite one that I own with Coon on the back. So anytime we get an all black kit with a little bit of multicolored, maybe iridescent glowing shit happening,
that'd be cool.
I'm excited. I love a nice clean black kit with some multicolored graphics going on. I think it's gonna look dope. I'm excited to grab another piece of merchandise because I already have the home kit and I have the keeper kit. So I'm excited to see what this is going to look like, and then we don't have to wait long. Let's think. What else is dropping at the end or the very beginning of April?
Kit number
The
one.
city, yes. And the city documentary comes out April 2nd.
Oh, shit, that's right. Damn.
So they're well done, marketing team. You guys are smart over there.
Right.
Fourth kit dropping right around the same time of the documentary, the treble-winning documentary on Netflix, like that.
Yeah.
Partnering all that together to keep building the city brand.
You know what? I now wonder if they'll reveal the kit at the end of the documentary or whatever to create pandemonium, because you know it's gonna fucking happen.
Yes.
So the dragon jersey was cool. The dragon jersey was cool, right? So I hope they can make it as close. I think I remember me saying a couple episodes ago, the one they did last year for Chinese New Year's, it was more of like a lunar style.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? What was that? What?
Not my favorite.
Who in the Puma design team got paid for that? Because I want your money. I'll do better. I'm just saying.
Exactly. So super stoked for the.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's all I had was I'm excited about the new kit, especially like I said, an all black kit is just almost always looks very, very nice, very clean
with it. All right, guys. So here is the time to get in the comments, say some shit, stir the pot, do whatever you want to do. I see George is in here, or was in here. I'm not sure if he still is. If you are, just let us know. We are actually going to be guest appearancing on Just a Bitter Banter podcast on Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern Time. So if you don't already follow them, go ahead and do that now. And to stay up to date as to where you'll be able to view or listen to us on their podcast, like I said, make sure that you follow them. Also, make sure you tell your friends. Tell them. All right.
That's what it's all about.
Tell them. Just got to tell people. Gotta tell them.
Excuse me?
Did I stutter?
Not.
Yes.
All right. 14 of you guys in here, and you got none to say. What is that? Open up the forums to you guys. We are. I mean, I definitely was kind of a dick last week. I'm not gonna lie. But it came with warrant. I'm just letting everybody know. It came with warrant.
There was something to it at the time. But again, I appreciate the fact that we've had pretty much 14 strong
for the
entire episode.
Well, at least for the last I'll say like 30 minutes. That's one of the bigger numbers we've had, so that's really awesome.
We appreciate y'all hanging out with us.
Definitely appreciate it. It shows that we're growing. It shows that people are willing enough to sit here and listen to us bullshit for an hour and what is 23 minutes now. We can't do it without you guys. Without you guys, we're nothing, and we do it for you guys. As two people who are, believe it or not, a little bit introverted. It means a lot to us that you're able to sit here with us. It means a lot that we're able to have the voice that you may not have. Not because you can't do it, just because it's probably more than you want to put yourself in for. Because I'll be honest with you guys, sitting here in front of a mic in a video screen and making content and stuff, it sounds like it could be easy, but all the other bullshit behind it,
not
at all. We take it in stride. But we do it for you guys because it's high time that America gets involved with this sport. It's high time that people understand what's going on. It's high time that people understand what this game can teach you in life. without this game, if I could go back to the '98 World Cup and start from there and watch from that time on, because that's literally the first time I ever watched. And it was because Croatia was playing, and I'm not even Croatian. I thought it was a really cool story because, when we were younger, the whole Yugoslavia thing was happening, and that, they were a result of that. And I thought it was really cool that one of those teams rose above all the bullshit and went on as far as they did. I believe they were in the runner-up game and won over France. I remember Brazil was fucking hot that year. Bro, you could fuck with Brazil. Could not fuck with that team. Dude, when I'm watching all the rounds go through that year, first time ever watching the game and seeing just how much they dominated, like that scared me. And I was like, I'm good. No.
I don't want to be out there.
Yes. We'll time that a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie. I had some good timings for it, and I totally missed it in our notes. But I digress. All right, you guys aren't going to comment. That's cool. George, thanks for saying what's up, man. We'll be talking to you on Tuesday. Again, make sure that you come and hang out with us. I think they do live. If they don't, next day. Just a Bit of Banner podcast. They're great lads. If you're not following them, go follow them now. Right freaking now. Do it now.
Go do it.
Do it. And check for their content as well as their weekly episodes. Until next week, guys, make sure that you hit the like, the subscribe, and the notification bell to get all updates as to when we're on, when we post content. Don't forget to follow us on social media and hit us in the comments. What should I leave him with this week? We should.
So many
What
good
I go- you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. Ready? Because I love this man, and I know you do too. So here you go. Cheers, y'all. Have a good week, and we will definitely be seeing you next week.